Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vivian, and today is June the 24th, 2019, and this is my video diary entry number 2. Critical theory is based on the work of Karl Marx and was integrated into organizations. It is defined as the reflective assessment and critique of society and culture by applying knowledge from the social sciences and the humanities. We use critical theory to understand procedures within an organization. We use critical theory to understand circumstances in a workplace and decision making and the hierarchical control favor of management and employees within the organization. Weber's definition of power is defined as the possibility of imposing one's will upon the behavior of other persons. The linkage between decision-making and conflict have been traced to power and management in determining what steps need to be taken in order to resolve matter. Hegemony indicates the process by which one group actively supports the goals, aspirations, and the other events that the goals may not be in subordinate groups' best interest. Conservative control is based on the adherence to socially constructed norms and values. It's developed by organization members themselves as they attempt to structure the environment. An example for conservative control is when an organization adopts an engaged employee. Employees who work in teams, and these behaviors shape each other's values that the company has and wishes that each employee compasses. After watching the Emma Watson video about her as the ambassador for he for she, it really hit home because we struggle with inequality rights every day and still do. Not only men, but not only women. Men in other foreign countries, they suffer from this inequality rights, and in America, women, we suffer from inequality rights. It's really ironic, but the speech has presented and shown me the reality of the rights that still exist today. And it's very touchful. Like, what she said was very meaningful. It meant a lot. And, I do notice a lot of women do not like using the word feminist. And I feel that I'm one of them because I feel that the word is very strong. And it kind of belittles men. And I'm not saying I don't use it. I rarely use it. And I notice myself as one of the women that doesn't. But I do see myself as a feminist because of my morals, my principles, my values, the standards, what I feel and how I portray myself. I demonstrate myself with very high standards, and some will call me bossy, demanding, controlling, but in all honesty, it's not that. It's more of, I know what I want, I know where I stand, and if I was in a man's body with a man's face demanding these, tasks, I wouldn't have been called bossy or demanding or whatever. But anyways, that's how I see it. I do realize that even with my efforts, I will continue to work just as hard to get recognized, and one day that being a feminist and inequality, it will basically surpass us all, and we will get paid at equal rights and be recognized equally. The article Workplace Cultures, it basically explains 8 factors, and it shows what employees fear within and that exists in an organization. And one main fear that I really wanted to discuss was bad behavior. Basically, if an employee shows signs of bad behavior, managements will honestly issue a warning, then correctives, and then make clearly that this behavior is improved. And if it's not, then they will take the next step on whether or not you'll get let go or, demoted. This fear can hold back the performance of the organization, but it holds back the performance of an employee. And it's important to rely on critical theory in this because management usually makes the decision, and the decision-making process is what management needs to know if your employees are showing signs of bad behavior. Usually they start slacking, they start to rebel, not do more work, they're checked out, they just don't want to be there. So that's a very important sign to look out for with it when you're working in a company. If your colleagues is doing this, it's because they don't want to be there, and or they're going through something. So we need to find out what's going on in order to keep them as an asset for the company. Because if they show signs of bad behavior, it reflects the company, and we don't want that to happen. Netflix is unique. It's very unique. It is not only does it have new movies, it shows documentaries, TV series. Then they have like movies in various cultures with subtitles, and I've always been a member of Netflix, so I really like Netflix. There was this one saying that represents and demonstrates leaders in organization as importance because they demonstrate character and values to be respected by one another. And it goes to the saying that my family says that if you have a basket of good apples and then there's one rotten apple in that basket, what happens to the basket of apples? Well, it just shows you, like, if you don't have a leader, and you have someone that's non-leader material goes into that basket of good apples, you taint them. And it just shows me that I use the same when I choose and pick people I hang out with, because they have to kind of be like me. I don't want to get in trouble, so I want to have fun, and I want to not be involved in all that negativity. So I surround myself with positive and good people. In the lesson learned case study, the ultimate lesson that was finally resolved with the dilemma in decision making was the best interest for the group. And if there's a problem that hasn't brought it with the team's attention, it's sought to be worked on, but it's an occurring problem, then it's a problem that needs immediate action and attention so the business doesn't fail. I've never been really in a situation where I represented myself incorrectly or inaccurately. I've always found myself working in a job long enough before I went to another job. I want to give an example. Once I was hired on as a dental assistant, and I was given promises like, oh, if you stay employed with us, we'll definitely put you through school and whatnot, and you'll be a dental hygienist. Well, a month later, I kept messing up on taking pictures of x-rays of the mouth, and because that happened, the owner, he pulled me into the office and he told me that he had to let me go, and that was his reasoning why. And I was so sad and I was frantic because this is like my only job, and I wasn't going to school at the time, so I kind of felt like this was a very good opportunity to grow. But when he stated those factors, it discouraged me for a while because I felt like I didn't have any knowledge in this field, and because I failed to be able to, achieve the x-ray exams, that he had to let me go. And anyways, I wasn't issued any warnings, but it was just a straight, hey, we have to let you go kind of thing. So it was really disappointing, and if I could go back to that employer and tell them something, I'd probably tell them that I could have filed unemployment, but I didn't know that. I was so young. But moving on, I searched my name on Google, and I didn't find anything besides other people who had my name, and they are successful figurine skaters, or they ran for senator or mayor. So AT&T bought out Bell South, and I love Bell South's recruitment procedures because applicants who apply for the employment there are rightfully protected from unlawful discrimination and harassment like sexual orientation, age, and disability. I feel like this is important to value these standards because other employers will call judgment by individuals, and basically it's just very important to not look into this because everyone deserves a right, fair fighting chance. As I read through our PowerPoint and navigating with a small case study, I wanted to point out there were two girls who were very different but share similar traits, and yet one was discouraged under her skin. And my only question for this case study was, where was the proper training? Where was the proper training when it came to hiring her on? She had to go shadow other people just to see how they work, and whether it could be a good or bad thing for her, she still didn't have proper training and knowledge of what she was supposed to do as an employee. And she had to rely on her colleagues to show her the ropes. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's totally bad to do that because you never know what people are doing and you can't trust them all. You have to go through training in order to get proper, to know what your job entails. Superior within management with deliberate strategic ambiguity has two factors, one for the organization and the other for the interest of the employee. At my job, if I were to come across this situation, my manager and I actually have a relationship to where we can actually talk, and this goes back to upper communication. Upper communication is basically being able to discuss matters, whether it be negative or positive. You're bringing it up to their attention, and they're either going to take matters in their own hands or they're going to bring it to their upper management, and that way your feedback and your concerns are not overlooked, but they're looked into. So I feel that it's very important to be able to have this kind of discussions with your management if you have any problems. I did have an example of one time of example of an upward communication. I failed to be able to talk to my professor about a job, and because he didn't reply to my email, I felt that he didn't want anything to do with me. So I kind of like made assumptions within myself. But in all honesty, I think it was more of like a lost in translation of email. He gets a lot of emails a day, so it was probably him not seeing my email, and I should have just went up to him in person and talked to him in person about it instead of waiting for an email that still today hasn't been replied. Trust plays a huge role when it comes to trusting your subordinates and within an organization, because I do feel that they do look out for your best interests. I hope they're not out there to get us. I hope that they are looking out for the organization's best interests as well, because, you know, there are crooked people out there, and there are people that are looking out for their best interests, so they use you as an employee. But at the same time, you know, I like to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are working with good standards, good ethics, and, you know, good code of conduct. So, because then it reflects who they are as people. As I conclude this video diary entry number 2, I just want to say that, you know, once you break your trust with your employees, they start looking for another job. And as a supervisor, you know, you don't want to jeopardize that relationship. So positive communication is always encouraged. And I encourage that, whether you use it at home, at school, at work. But, you know, always communicate in an upper communication, just so you can try to resolve matters and not hold it in. So other than that, thank you for listening and tuning into my video. I hope you guys all have a great day, and good luck to you. Bye.